Alrighty. Welcome everybody to the next episode of Count the Bucket. Got CJ here with me. We'll go ahead and say I'm going to apologize in case my voice goes out or if I get to coughing a little bit. I've been hoarse off and on quite a bit today. Woke up this morning and I felt like crap, just to be honest with you. But as the days went on, I've got a head cold going on. Just started antibiotics probably an hour ago. Had to go to work at 12 o'clock today, so there's no time to do anything. But put it to you this way, CJ. My wife woke me up and said, "Hey, honey, the nurse is on the phone." I was like, "What in the world are you talking about?" She said, "I called the telehealth. I don't know. I'm sure you guys got telehealth in New York as well, but like you can call and instead of going in." And she's like,
Yeah.
I told her what's your symptoms and everything, but she's got to at least talk to you. I'm like, I'm waking up, but okay. I could barely talk to her, but just had to give some things. So, long story short, on my way home from work, picked up medicine for myself, my wife, and all three of my kids. So, hopefully, with the meds, we'll be on the mend. But, CJ, how you been doing today?
Yeah, all is well. Hopefully, you feel better, brother. Just been watching these playoff games, some exciting games. So I could looking forward to breaking these games down and also talking about what's next for tomorrow.
Mhm. See, and unfortunately, my work schedule, retail, you never know what you're going to do. Closing hours, opening hours. I didn't get to watch any of the games. I basically kept popping on Bleacher Report, trying to see the scores, and I watched the highlights, I guess, if you will, of the Warriors and
Grizzlies, yep.
Grizzlies. I've been putting it on Twitter all day and seeing that the game was very close. Now that I've been home for less than an hour, getting to get on Twitter a little bit more and kind of look through stuff, apparently it was an interesting game. So obviously we know Draymond got tossed on a flagrant two foul, right?
Yeah,
I did see the highlight of it. It did look aggressive to me. We'll just jump straight into that part. Like, I mean, he did
sure.
reach back, coming down, hit. I did think it was a little excessive as far as where he grabbed the jersey and pull. I was sitting there thinking as I watched it in slow motion, when you have something like that, I mean, I've many times playing pickup ball, your hand gets stuck in a shirt, it rips whatever a little bit. You're trying to pull your hand out as it happens. Draymond kind of pulled a little bit with the shirt, I think, pulling him back. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it was a little excessive, and even if it wasn't, he's just not going to get the benefit of the doubt because of his history
Yeah.
for the last few years. Kicking Steven Adams in the nuts a few years ago, just multiple getting suspended in the finals when they were up 3-1. So he has a track record, and he has a track record, and these referees, they're looking out for stuff, and it's obviously they probably will never say it, but it's something that they're looking for, especially when it comes to Draymond Green. And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, he got the boot, but fortunately, they were still able to get the victory.
Yes, sir. And I didn't even know as we was coming on here. I was just trying to look at some stuff. I didn't know that Cousin got a technical too. Did he get ejected as well?
You said Cousins?
Yeah,
Oh, that was from the Denver series.
I guess so. It was just showing a highlight on it that Cousins was getting ejected. I don't. And again, I'm just kind of popping up some different things. Let me pull
Yeah,
back up there because it might have been just the same referee that they're talking about. Hey, he's got a
yeah,
history of throwing. Maybe that's what it was
yeah, probably. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Yeah,
because it's talking
Scott.
about he had to do it twice to prove his point. I'm like, I mean, I didn't even think Cousins was in that game, but I was like, okay, it happens. So apparently, this ref, and I don't know the name who it was, has a little bit of a history buff as far as I guess flexing, if you will. Ooh, I sounded young right there. Flexing.
Scott Foster. Yeah, he has.
Okay.
He's well known. It's obviously the stat is out there with Chris Paul 0-15 when Chris Paul's being
Yes.
in a game
Yes.
coached by Scott Foster. Yeah, so he has he's well known in the NBA world.
Mhm.
When he's calling a game, you definitely know about it.
But I almost think I won't say a bit comical. I just feel like it's interesting because I want to say just last game that the Warriors were playing, you could see Draymond, like the camera was on him. They're kind of putting that out there on TV that, like, hey, I got ejected for that kicking in the nuts. Like I got kicked out of the game for the playoffs. Well, you got to be doing something here. I can't remember who it was that did it in the game.
Yeah,
The
that
last
was
series.
CP3 kicking Alvarado.
Okay,
Game.
yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep.
And now it's going to this game, and now he does something he gets ejected for. Now, I do like what he said after the game and the press conference. It said, I almost feel like it was more of a personality, or, I won't say that's not the word he said. I can't remember what it said, but more of just he's got a history of it, kind of like you was talking about earlier. and that's why it happened. Like he thought it was more aggressive than what it should have been. Let's see if I can go back and find that. I thought tonight was more of a reputation's the word. That's it. More of a reputation thing more than a hard foul. And I would agree with that. But at the same time, like I almost feel like he was using that comment in a bad way, that the ref shouldn't do that because of my reputation. Sorry, you got the reputation of it. Like that's what you do. Like, let's be honest. Think back when Dennis Rodman used to play. Like when he would do a foul, you knew he probably had more intentions than it was actually just being a foul. He was trying to do more mentally games that he played and everything like that. Like that was his reputation. So I mean, yeah, Draymond, you have a reputation of this because it's true. So I mean, you've got to nip those things in the bud. Just like if you've ever coached a team or anything like that, if you've got a hot head on the team and something happens, you got to pull them out quick before they do get into more trouble. Or if something in practice, like conflict going on, okay, hold up. We're done with that drill. Go get a water break. You know, that was always the go-to as far as me as a player is like, all right, everybody just get a water break, timeout, you know. So, I mean, Draymond, you're a hot head when it comes to stuff. They're going to get you on that, and they have to have control. I mean, you agree or you disagree on that?
Yeah, of course. You know, the referees, they want to make sure that they manage the game. It's just they have so much power. I think we really underrate the amount of power that these referees have. What's that? What you got? The Avengers. Nice. Oh, Justice. With a little Batman in there. Okay.
It's my son's cup. My wife got him cups or the Easter Bunny got him cups. We like to get them certain things like that. They're 5, 5, and 4. And my son's like, you got to use my cup, Daddy. And I'm like, looking at it, it's like, oh, wow, honey, you did really good. Whoa, why's Batman on there? That doesn't make sense. It's all Marvels, and then you got Batman. She goes, he's a superhero. I was like, no, you can't say that. Like, that's borderline divorce talk right there. But, you know, we'll just keep on going with it. But, yeah.
But, yeah, these refs have a lot of power. And you just got to try to, one, not get too emotional because they have egos too. I think a lot of people forget that. I mean, they're humans. They go home every day and they have families that watch the game as well. Yeah. So, you know, you got these players bargaining at them, and they don't respect that. And sometimes, you know, they get emotional as well. It may, you know, blow the whistle when it may be a, you know, not really a foul or something light that wouldn't have been called in different times during the game. So. It's tricky. You just got to stay patient, stay calm, and just stay within the game. And hopefully, you know, the refs are on your side.
When you played sports, were you allowed to talk to the referees?
Yeah, we could talk. Yeah, we could talk to the refs always. I mean, nothing too disrespectful. I was always, you know, just play. When I was playing football, just playing on the field, just doing everything. Because like if you letting the refs get in the way of the game, then it's like you're mentally out of what's actually going on and what you actually need to do.
Let's have this talk real quick. Parents, fans, anyone, players even, if you're watching this right now, a referee does not really make you win or lose a game. There are times when it's iffy. Like tonight, there was an agenda in some of these calls I've seen. Like, and that's even what social media is saying. But like, how many times have you ever been in a game or been at a game and the parents are going crazy? All that referee, his kids went to such and such school. You know he's going to call for them. You know, like,
right.
Attitude. And I'm just like, when I coached, I actually coached a like 5th and 6th grade team, 6th, 7th, or 5th, 6th, 7th grade team as well. And I would tell my players not to say a word to the referees because they get emotional and they feed off what their parents hear. And I'm just going to be honest with you. When the parents holler something like, you're a horrible ref, it goes straight through the kids, and that's what they want to say. And I say, hey, listen, if you ain't got nothing nice to say to that ref, don't even say it. I'll badmouth them. That's my job. You all are to never get a technical. And sad. I'm just going to go with the story because it's in my head. This referee, right in front of my bench, the ball went out, and it was off the other team's player, and the other referee called their ball. I said, you seen that? You know that's our ball. He goes, sir, in my whole life of refereeing, I always said I would never overturn a call. I said, so you're going to take that from my team when you know it was wrong? He's like, I've never done it in my 5 years. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, your job is to ref the game correctly.
Exactly.
It's not like you're calling out the other ref for doing something wrong. It's like, hey, I had a better view. I saw that right. Like, you should want to do that. But I used to have so much fun. And as a player, I always called them Mr. Refs. I don't know why. I never said anything else. Like, hey, Jim or whatever. It's like, hey, Mr. Ref. I wanted to be respectful. So be like, oh, you know what? Michael, he's a big hefty guy running this point guard. He's been joking with me. He can have that foul, or he took 3 steps right there, but we don't care. But
telling you, that's a lot of power, man.
It really is, and sometimes
a lot of power. It's a bucket of possession.
Human.
Yeah,
like you said, they're human, and if you can persuade them and any type of personality to like you, you're going to get a couple calls. I'll tell you this: our region that we play in high school is 13th region, so that's why I'm just going to say 13th region. We were in the 13th region tournament, and our big guy, he was a sophomore. It's my junior year, or I'm sorry, it was my senior year, his junior year. He was in foul trouble first half, already had 3 fouls, and our coach took him out. And one referee said, "Coach, that's your best player down low. You can't put him on the bench." And it was kind of in between of a play there. And he's like, and our coach, I remember saying, is like, "I can't risk him getting a 4th foul before the halftime." He said, if he's good, he won't get that other foul in there. We need him in there. I was like, okay, yeah, put him back in, because obviously that ref is going to try to not call anything unless it's something obvious. And, he never did pick up that extra foul. So, but you got to have a relationship with them. And let's be honest, it can be good or it can be bad. And I didn't think we'd be this deep into it. But any funny stories you ever had with a referee?
Not really. I kind of just, I don't know if you could tell by now, I'm more just, laid back, humble guy. So, I never really gotten too much confrontation with the refs.
Well, don't have to be confrontations. Any fun stories?
Fun
I've got an embarrassing.
I've never had not a lot of fun stories either. I just try to play the game.
Come on, CJ, don't be dull.
Nah, I'm just saying I never had any crazy stories.
Well, one time it was a junior varsity game, and I jumped up for a rebound, got the ball, and as I got it, I threw it on out for an outlet pass before I even came down to the ground. Like, I knew it was kind of going there, so I did it. And the boy that was on the other team jumped up. Somehow his foot got stuck in my strings to my shorts, and it broke my string, and my shorts went straight down to my ankles. I just instantly got rid of the ball, picked up my shorts, and took off. Made eye contact with the referees. Like, me and him, we're still like we talk like men's leagues that we play in. Like, he's a really good guy. And he's like, "I'll never forget that time, Lawson. Your pants went down the ankles." The only 2 people that seen it was that referee and my mom. No one else ever seen it happen, and I don't know how. But it was hilarious how something like that could happen. But
crazy.
Good times. Let's see here. Love hearing their perspectives from how the coach manages and the relationship with the referees. Oh yeah, absolutely. Have you ever coached, CJ? I don't know if I've ever asked that.
Not yet. I'm looking forward to it.
I was going to ask you, do you want to?
Yeah. Okay. Definitely want to coach soon.
Man, from my perspective, as what I always try to do as a coach, I always wanted to, I'm going to use the words, challenge them to be better. Because I even sometimes like, hey, listen, I always tell my players, like, hey, listen, you're going to miss at least one shot of all the shots you take. Players, they hear, again, like from their parents, "Oh, that ref missed that call. That's horrible. He can't believe that they messed up on that." Like, listen, you're not going to make all your shots. You can't expect the referee to make all the right calls. You've got to buckle down, play defense, and take care of what you can take care of. And then I always say, referee, if he missed calls, like, "Hey, listen, I'm telling my kids to do the best that they can do. I want you to give me the best you can do, too, for these kids." They're like, "Oh, coach, I'm sorry I missed that." You get that development, and it's a lot of fun that way. But I miss coaching, man. I ain't coached in probably 5 years now, but it was fun.
Get back to it, man. Soon.
You never know. Love hearing. So many times as a pro hooper, which Corey plays in Australia, if I had 3 fouls at half or 4 in the third, I would often tell the ref, "I've got 4 and not fouling anymore." I know. It's taken and gone. Now, Corey, serious question here. I know you play in Australia. Do you get 6 fouls in Australia? I wonder if the referees actually keep up with how many certain players have fouls, Because one thing I always thought was funny, I got to get a drink. And I don't know, I won't say this is true, but I feel like I've observed this. If you ever watch basketball teams, as soon as the stars go out and a sub comes in for them, it seems like I'm going to say the word scrubs here, gets the fouls immediately compared to what the superstars would get away with. And I don't know. I don't know if sometimes it's like they're just trying to make up the calls and be like, "Hey, we need to call some. We ain't called." But I know,
try to even it out. Yeah.
Right. I know, the scoreboards, they've got them pulled up where and be like, "Hey, number 3 has 2 fouls." I want a referee pays attention to that any. And again, they're human. We know it's probably going to happen. They're like, "Okay, he's a good player. That's going to really hurt his team. We got to back off a little bit." or if that's even a factor. I mean,
yeah, of course, I think it's a factor. Again, like they have so much power. You know, they probably pick and choose. I'm sure they have discussions before the games how they want to call it. Of course, during the playoffs, the referees want to stay out of it as much as possible,
right.
Because you don't want to make a call or call something that's so pivotal in an important game where legacies are on the line. You know, so it's important, and that's why I always say, like, I know these guys, they scream at the refs. It's an emotional game. You know, they want to try to win, and if they feel like something should be called, they're going to express it. But I would just try to be patient as possible and respectful as possible, because you get them upset, then the texts come, and then everything just overflows, and it could get bad, and it really change the momentum and swing it to the opposing team if you don't really get yourself in check. So
Christian said also reffing is hard. Have you ever reffed?
I've never reffed, but I was saying it's probably of course I believe it. I believe it.
My church that I go to here, and I point like you all can see where it's at. But we held a church league once. We held it for 10 years, a church league. And starting out, we didn't really want to pay the referees to come and do all that stuff. So everyone would volunteer to ref. Like, okay, you play this game, you have to have someone from your team represent ref. It was always me, and man, that's really tough. Like, I did okay, I think, but hearing the fans that close, always second guessing you, like. My feelings are on my sleeves. I just be honest with you. Sometimes them fans hurt me in a Christian league, but it was actually an outreach to try to get people in, so they can't hear stuff. And I won't get into all that, but it was an outreach. We knew what crowd we was getting. But again, we actually had a Christian school at my church as well, and I would actually ref with a professional referee. I say professional, a licensed referee there, and he would try to talk me in to get my license. Like, our chemistry is really good. You're doing really good at all this stuff. I never wanted to be by the fan side, the bleachers on one side, the coaching bench on the other. I'd rather have the coach yell at me all the time than hear all them fans, because it's constantly, you hear it this side, you hear it from the other team on that side. You're like, man, you know what? I'll just stick to football where I can be out on the field at least 50 to 60 yards away from the fans. I don't know who they're yelling at. I don't even know what exactly my name is as a ref on the football field. There's line judge, back judge, referee, who knows what they all are, just whatever.
You gotta, man, just like Christian just said too, it's not worth the money 99% of the time, 100%. That's a fact.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's because it's a tough job, and especially now with social media, once these people and these crazy fanatic fans get a hold of your name and stuff, they start trying to find every little thing possible, try to harass you. So it's family members. It's a tough deal. It's a tough job.
There's so much hate that can go on to a referee. And here we are trying to talk about NBA games. So we're really just kind of keeping it real on this as far as sports alone.
Yeah.
Even in the chat, Christian said, I have never been cussed out more or gotten more death threats than when I reffed women's college flag football. I mean, it is crazy. And
it's crazy.
When I did the league that I was talking about up here, the men's league, and people would start saying stuff to me, I finally said, if you can, and I tell this to parents now, like at games, if you can really do better than that, like if they're that bad, go get your license. Like, if anything, quit complaining about it. Go get your license, because they need better refs if that's what you really think. But no, I can't do it, and then shut up. They're
just looking for somebody to yell at a specific moment in time.
Spectators, all it is.
Yeah, because they know more times than not, you're not gonna get, unless you're doing something crazy, you're not gonna get kicked out. So you can say whatever you want, and they just gotta eat it. So no
pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
One time I was actually reffing the game, and I was watching down low. I was in the paint there. I don't go off to the side, of course, baseline. And the dude got hammered. And I went, oh, man, that was a foul. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm the referee, and I didn't even call it. Like, I was just in the spectation mode. I was like, oh, I can't believe that wasn't that was my job. That's why I wasn't blown. I just got to stare like, my bad. I just looked at him and said, my bad. That was on me. He said, okay. But we got him back. See, he looked at me. We had a good interaction. He didn't get mad. He actually smiled afterwards because it was funny. Next time down there, simple touch. I was like, you know what? I owe anyone. Whoop, foul. Yep. Go shoot you 2 free throws.
There you go. There you go right there.
See, but Anyways, now that we talked about all this and we're up to 20 minutes and I didn't even say anything about the NBA other than Draymond got cut out. Now, does he have to sit out next game?
I don't think so. I don't think he has the threshold of flagrance or sex.
It's like so many build up, right? Almost like a point category. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 16 or something like that. For text, I think it's 16 texts. And if you that,
I'm just going to say this, and I've thought this for years. Is it not crazy how our NBA players get technicals so many times in the NBA season, but when it's the Olympics, I have never seen a technical on any of our NBA players in the Olympics? Have you ever thought of that, or is it just me?
I've never thought about that. I've never really looked at it that way. Watching the Olympics, NBA, yeah, like like it's a fact. But yeah, when you look at Olympics, that's something to look at soon when it comes back around.
As a referee, it would almost tick me off because it's like there's no respect for the NBA referee. There's more respect for the whatever.
I guess it's because it's like countries versus country. It's a world global thing. I don't know. I think that has a factor in it as well.
I do too. And
these guys know the referees in the NBA, calling them first name basis. So it's definitely a little different. Yeah.
But I've always thought, as an older person now, and the thing that these kids are watching these guys act that way. And then, they're going to act that way too. I always felt like the commissioner of the NBA should hold them a little more accountable. I mean, we fine them $5,000, but we pay them $30 million for the year. Like, I mean,
yeah, well,
if we want to really make an example and be, like mentors for these kids or be a role model for these kids. And I know I'm getting old, guys, and I apologize, and gals. I know we're just not only men that watch this. I know I'm getting old school here, or just, I guess.
Old head talk.
Yeah. Let me put on my dad's shoes on this, okay? Like, if we really want our younger generation to be more respectful, like, make them set out a game if they get a technical. And I guarantee they wouldn't be a technical. Do you think they would get it?
Nah, you're right. If it was that harsh, definitely nobody would try to get sex. But
because they obviously can do it because they do it in the I guess what is it? FIBA, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the penalty. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. All right, I see what you're saying.
I'm just saying they cannot get takes because they don't then. So they're choosing to act that way. That's just something I've been.
No, you're right. You're right. And then it's so emotional. It's so emotional, and then if we see players and coaches. If you critique the refs, you get a $25,000 fine and things like that. So. I guess they're, somewhat protected in that standpoint. To me, I don't know. I mean, I never understood that, getting fined for, speaking and critiquing the refs. I mean, because players and coaches get critiqued on a daily basis. So
absolutely.
Why? But that's always been weird to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think critiquing them or talking about that afterwards should be totally fine. I mean, if we're going to say that Ja Morant had an off night, shot 1 of 20, played horrible, his plus minus was a -30, then why can't we say this referee missed 15 calls? Or as what I was saying against the Suns and Pelicans, the Pelicans shot 45 free throws. Like, that had a factor. And I'll go back and we'll back up on my words here. I said referees don't really cause teams to win or lose. Not all the time, but shooting 45 free throws, the Pelicans won that game because of that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not always the case.
Right.
Like, even I remember, oh, man, that referee called that foul on the last second shot and went to the free throw line and he made both and we lost by 1. That was ridiculous. Well, how many turnovers did you have in the whole game? Like, how many mishaps did you have on your communication on defense that caused a layup? You can't say one play beat you in the whole game.
Yeah, it's the easy way out. Yeah, you're taking the easy way out, right? Throw it on the refs.
You're blame was what I about said. Placing blame elsewhere instead of taking it yourself.
Facts.
Grow up. So, what do you think of the Grizzlies and Warriors game?
Yeah, I thought it was an exciting game from start to finish. I thought Jerry Jackson Jr. really stepped up and had his best game this playoffs. 30 plus points was big time in that third quarter, really helping the Grizzlies sustain the lead and keep the game close. Draymond went out. I was interested to see how they would do for the Warriors. Well, I'll stick with the Grizzlies first, and I'll talk about the Warriors. And Ja Morant was easy to get to the basket at any time, especially now with Draymond not being in that game. There isn't any rim protection, and that may be the one flaw for Golden State, is that their lack of size in the middle in terms of having a defensive anchor, especially when a guy like Draymond is either in foul trouble or in this circumstance out of the game. So Ja's going to have a field day and get it in that paint. I think Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks, they have to step up in game 2. You have to make Clay and Poole and Steph. You have to make those guys work on defense. If they're not shooting the ball well, and then they're getting their own on offense, it's a tough night. It's a tough night, and for them to not play well and for them to only lose by 1, it talks about how good this team is and will be going forward. And then for Golden State, this was important. They got. They could have easily been like, okay, we don't have a glue guy in Draymond, mail it back in game 2, and try to get one on the road, but they were able to get it done. Clay hit a big shot, hit a big 3 for the lead, missed a couple free throws there late, and I think defensively he did a great job on that last play for Ja to get a clear lane to the basket, came off Brandon Clark and contested that layup, and made it just a little bit more tough for Ja to get to his left hand and put it off the glass, and they got the victory. I think they did a great job, even despite not having, a true big man. They did a great job of getting second chance points. They were getting offensive rebounds. Gary Payton Jr., Steph was in there, Clay, Wiggins as well, Otto Porter. Those guys are really crashing the glass and really trying to create some second chance points for those shooters out there. And Jordan Poole was amazing, 31 points. I mean, he really held the offense down for that first half, and then started that second half as well. He was big time.
I really like Poole. I hate to say this because I like Clay, but Poole might be my second favorite on that team now. Just the small stuff that he does. I mean, he really replaced Clay while Clay was gone. I'll say at least that, but I won't say that he's completely replaced him because I know I joked a little bit. Maybe try to make a reach and said that maybe Poole is the new Clay and they're going to trade Clay. And y'all was like, what are you smoking? So
my friend said the same thing. We was talking about it earlier. He was like, he was like, Clay's out of there, man. I'm like, really? I feel like they'd move Wiggins before they'd move a guy like Clay. I just feel like they're a guy like Bob Myers, Joe Lacob. They're going to keep that. They want to keep that core 3 there. Like the Spurs, even though Tony left, even though Tony went to the Charlotte, which was a weird year. But weird. Yeah, it was so weird, him in the Hornet jersey. But try to keep that Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, nucleus together. I think they want to try to do that in Golden State. But yeah,
not paying that much. That's my only thing. Like, I think you may have to have a talk. Say, hey, Clay, we want you here. We love you. You are Golden State, but we might need to renegotiate this contract a little bit because Poole has stepped up a lot, and really, he's more of our future. We don't know how many more years we have with you with your injury history. You haven't played in 2 years. So, I mean, we can't get as much out of you. And granted, Clay's played good. I don't even know what his stats were. I looked at it a second ago. Let's see here. Clay had 15 points on 31 minutes, 6 of 19 from field, 3 of 10 from three-pointers. So, I mean,
he wasn't great.
Yeah, he wasn't great. Let's see here. Where's Poole? Poole, 38 minutes. Had 31 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. So he almost had a triple-double. 5 of 10 from three-point. What did I say Clay was? So 6 of 19.
Yeah. Poole's,
yeah.
And Poole's great, but also, he's a lot of the shots that he's getting is because of the Splash Brothers as well. The teams have to hone in and trying to stop in those guys. So, he gets a lot of one-on-one looks. Teams are not, really shifting the defense towards him because you got to worry about those 2 guys. So if a guy like Clay were to leave and the defense is now on him and Steph, what would that look like? I still think he'd still be really good because he has improved every single year since he's been in the NBA. But I think right now, if anything possible, I would keep going over that luxury tax, man, and try to keep all those guys because you got four solid guys that you drafted as well. That's something that's rare. That you don't really see now. You see with a lot of teams trying to buy players and things like that. Both teams, Grizzlies and and Warriors done a great job of building through the draft
Oh, yeah.
and developing guys with their staff. So if you're able to keep those 4 guys, they're going to be good for a long time. And then as they get older than Poole, it could become Poole's team. Kuminga also is, getting playoff minutes, which is key. Get some experience. I think going forward, they're going to be. Wow, yeah. I mean, if he ever gets healthy, 100%, he could be a factor also.
Listen, I'm totally ADHD, and I know that. You guys know that. I say that enough. But you just said 100%. And remind me, I said 100% to someone earlier today, and I said, that makes me think of CJ. But I would like for them to keep Klay, obviously, because I can't think of Golden State without Klay.
Yeah.
But I also think Wiggins provides just a little bit more, I won't say more, different value than what you're getting from Klay with Poole. Because you're going to have a little bit of the same person in that. Klay does have more height, defense, but with his injuries, he's probably went down some. Poole's still young, very mobile. How'd you like that catch?
Yeah, it was a good catch.
But I just feel like Wiggins' size and his rebounding ability that he can do from the wing, I think he's a little bit more valuable because it's different. That's my only thing.
Yeah, you're right. They have some decisions to make.
Wiggins probably should have been actually in the top for most improved player, but I don't think he was even in the talks really.
First half of the season, he was definitely in that discussion. He was a starter for the All-Star game. So he definitely was in that. He kind of tailed off a little bit as Klay came back, of course, because Klay's going to get those shots. He's still, it's part of the Splash Brothers. So his role changed a little bit. And then Poole, and like we're talking about right now, Poole became, a much better player. So he's not getting the shots he used to get, but he's still doing the dirty work, crashing the glass, cutting to the basket, trying to defend. I mean, he wants a championship. Those three guys, they have a championship. Over Draymond and Splash Brothers, they have a championship. Those other guys don't. So they're just as hungry. And I think that's what makes his team really dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. So who we think is going to come out on top? Because me seeing this and not watching the game, seeing Dubs on top with a W by 1 point, on the road away, losing Draymond, I feel like the Warriors look like they could come out, obviously, after game 1 to be win the series. Sorry, couldn't get anything out. But talking with you and hearing how the game went, seeing that Bane, I think, had 9 points total. He's definitely a better player than that. Jackson had 33. What is the word I'm looking for?
Repeat that, yeah. Repeat that.
Repeat that. Still, what am I thinking?
I don't know.
Replicate?
Yeah,
duplicate. Maybe I'm trying to go with duplicate with another word. I don't know. Can he keep that up? And if they can, if Bane gives you some more points on that, then I think this is an easy W for the Grizzlies now. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I'm lost on this because this is the most exciting series to me. Is this one right here to see these two battle, these two superstars, Ja and Steph? Even though there's so many more superstars on this team. So, what do you have? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I got Golden State in 7. I think it's going to be
okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a chess match. I think it's going to be really similar to what we saw today. Ja's going to have a field day in that paint, man. Again, just because it's they don't have any rim protection. Even Draymond's not the best shot blocker. He's more versatile and guarding 1 through 5. But he's not a guy that's he's not Gobert from that circumstance. But so Ja's going to have a field day in there. Rebounding is going to be the key in this series. Whoever leads the game in rebounds, offensive rebounds, gets second chance points. That's who's going to win the series, and that's an underrated factor. And I like what I saw from Golden State tonight in terms of crashing the glass. Even though the Grizzlies had Tillman, Clark, Jaren Jackson. I mean, he gets the rebounds, but he's more still on the outside. From that, it's more of a stretch, 2-way stretch 4, something like that. So. I got Golden State in 7, and I just think their core guys have the experience. I mean, Klay, when it matters, Klay is going to hit a big shot. Steph's going to hit a big shot. Draymond's going to make a big play, whether it's dribble handoff to one of those guys or making a play defensively. I think that just that experience factor right there, and complement with guys like Poole, Wiggins, some of those younger guys, I give them the edge. But I think the Grizzlies, they're going to be excellent for years to come, man. They have a
absolutely.
great core, great coach. And, they were able to close that series out against Minnesota. Minnesota, in my opinion, it should be Minnesota versus Golden State. But Minnesota just, they were terrible when it comes to late game execution. And that's something that they need to, correct going into the offseason and next season.
Before the game, I put Warriors in 6. I actually think it would go that long. So I totally think it could go 7 easily. But I do think Warriors, their experience, their ability to handle diversity in these situations that they've done for the past decade almost, it seems like. So I feel like they'll prevail on this and come out on top. I do think it'll be an extended series. I don't think it's going to be like 4 or 5. I think it's going to go 6 or 7 at least. Well, obviously it has to be at least that. I don't think it'll be 5. There's no way that it's going to end in 5, I don't think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if it ended in 5, just because, again, Grizzlies, they're a good team, but they were 20-5 without Ja. So that just talks about the amount of depth that they have on that roster.
Of course, Corey, in the Colorcast, as I say that, I read his message. It says the Grizz getting 33 from Triple J ain't happening again. Warriors in 5. So as I say, it ain't no way it's happening in 5. It's in 5. But what's probably going to be the most telling of this series is how Grizzlies are going to respond when they are in Oakland now, I guess it is, or San Francisco. I'm sorry.
San Francisco, yeah.
San Francisco. So that, I think, will probably be their biggest diversity that they've faced in any of the playoffs games that they had so far, because we know that arena can get popping when it's playoff time there. So
yeah, it's not the Oracle, but Chase Center, it was definitely loud in there.
I about called it the Oracle. I was like, I don't think it's that anymore, but I think that's probably going to be the biggest telltale. I even think, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to. I even think if the Warriors were to win the second game at Grizzlies, that if the Grizzlies win the third game, that it will still go 6 games. I think the Grizzlies could pull out 2 games in San Francisco if they are able to face that diversity head on and keep on going, because I think Ja loves it. I'm really,
of course,
I'm buying into Bane. Bane might be one of my under the radar favorite players. I just love his style. I ain't going to say too much because y'all make fun of my Bubble Booker, but I egg it on a little bit. But I just feel like Bane is a solid player that he's not a stat filler so much. It's more of the underline that you don't see on the stat sheets that you can see that he does and provides. And that's why I like him. I love those kind of players. But I do agree with Corey on this. I don't know if Triple J can get 33 or above 30 every night. Do you?
Yeah, I don't think so. But then again, we said, Bane and Brooks didn't play great. So, if that kind of evens out.
Have to. Right. Okay.
Right. So that if that kind of evens out, I think it's still going to be relatively close. But those guys have to step up. They have to, because you have to make those guys work on defense. You have to make those, because if you need, first off, to play Golden State, you have to be well conditioned. I mean, not just to the level of just NBA, but when you're playing them, the way those guys run off screens, off the ball, and things like that, Curry's constantly moving all the way up until the fourth quarter. So if you're not making him work on defense, you could get caught up. You could get caught up, and defensively, they have to be more of a chain, also stepping up on the screens. When that screen is set until the guy comes over and get back in front of him again, you got to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined to play this team, because Curry will make you pay. If you sag off when the screen is set, you know what's going up. So Clay, same thing. Poole, same thing. All 3 of those guys. You make that mistake. You do that 3-4 times. You're not able to get a bucket. It's a run that that's could be the end of the game right there. So.
Oh yeah. And it's so crazy because you could be up by like 11 points on the Warriors, and that can be erased in a matter of a minute. I'm not even going to say minutes in this. Like, they hit 2 threes back to back, and it's already cut down to 5 points in that. And it's just so quick. I mean, 3 shots, they can have 9 points so fast. And sometimes they even get the 4-point play, which they get. James Harden somehow gets it more. But it's just amazing how, I'm going to say, how replaceable each player on that team is. I say that because they're all interchangeable. Let me say that word instead of replaceable.
Yep.
I said her thinking, she was talking about that, in my head thinking, I guess as a coach, it would almost be easy to coach as far as the defense to be prepared, but to defend it, it's a different story, because no matter who it is coming off any screen, you would have the same approach. Okay, this guy's coming off, hedge or switch or whatever, because we don't care if it's Poole, Clay, or Steph. They're all 3-point shooters, and you're going to contest, So at least all three of your guards should be thinking the same thing and be in that repetition to know what's going to happen. But at the same time, it's still Clay, Steph, and Poole now.
Yeah.
So, it's so tough because you have to, with this team, my opinion, you have to be much more mentally prepared and disciplined against this team than probably most teams in the NBA, because it's almost like it's pulleys with a belt and everything's just going this perfect way. There was a play, and I'm getting way out of here now, but it's what we do, I guess, or what I do. There was a play that they showed a highlight where one dude made a pass, and this was back when Kevin Durant was on the team. Somebody came through the lane, passed it over here to the open guy, made the extra pass, which you always hear, make that extra pass. And then it was like it showed a view of somebody being open in the corner. I think it was Durant, but he was pointing to his teammate. I think it was Clay, and Clay was pointing to another teammate that was open too. It's like the unselfishness of this team is so much more top-notch level compared to any other team. It's just they buy in, and I have to give Kerr the credit to that. I guess, but even the players just flat out bought into it. It's amazing too, because this doesn't happen in any other team.
No, you got to give Kerr a lot of credit. I know he's ever since he got the job and how he got the job, he's caught a lot of flack because Mark Jackson pretty much gave those guys the green light and the confidence to become who they are today. But I think Kerr was that missing piece to kind of bring it all together. How they play, the off-ball motions and everything. It's not like Curry's by himself. You could trap him, and if he was by, so it's like Trae Young on the Hawks. Like you could trap him and then make it tough on him and live with some of those other guys knocking down shots. You can't do that on the Warriors. And you could run one play on one side, Draymond does a dribble handoff, and then on the other side of the court, you got Clay coming off a screen, or Poole coming off a screen. You can't ball watch, because if you sleep and then
if you ball watch, you on the bench.
So it's very difficult to play this team, and even though they lack the size, they make up with everything else, and that's what makes them so dangerous.
Man, it sure is. I hate to sound this weird, but it's almost poetry watching how they work so well together. It's beautiful. I'll say that.
Yes, for sure, definitely.
So, Matt's in the comments. Okay, Perry says Warriors in 6. He agrees with me, but Matt says Minnesota. So, I guess we'll go ahead and transition, since we are up to 40 minutes on here, and we actually talked about being short. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks in this matchup. Again, 3-2 matchup. Ranked 2, ranked 3, number 3, the visiting team does come out with the win. I was surprised by just looking at the score. Again, I didn't get to watch any of the game. That's why I really want to get on the show, just hear what you say happens. But the Bucks come out 101-89 over Boston in Boston. I wouldn't have thought Boston had been held this low on points, because is Middleton playing, or is he hurt?
He's out for the entire series. Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. So I didn't think this would happen. So please, I just want to give it to you. Let's hear what you all say, or what you say all about it. And I'm going to kind of look at the stats, because that blows my mind, because Middleton is that number 2 guy, and they still put up over 100 points on him.
Yeah, the game was extremely physical from the jump. And again, this is a Milwaukee team. They have the championship identity. It's only a couple guys on that team that haven't hosted that Larry O.B. So you got like Javon Carter and Grayson Allen. Those guys weren't on the team last year, but that core: Drew, Bobby Portis, of course, Giannis. They're still there. So they understand what they need to do. They understand the importance in winning on the road and how important that is when you're trying to get 16 wins in a playoff season. So and they were physical against the Celtics. The difference when the Celtics played Brooklyn is Brooklyn didn't have the type of wings. Yeah, exactly. The defense, 100%. They didn't have the wings out there to defend those Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum and Brown, they get a screen call for them. You got Patty Mills or Dragic on you. Both of those guys are like 34, 35 with a bunch of miles on their legs from, so many years of playing against 2 dudes that are like 26, 24, 26. Mm-hmm. It's a tough night. For Milwaukee, they got their whole starting five is two ways. Drew's one of the best, two-way guards in the NBA. Wesley Matthews is known for his defense and spacing the floor. Bobby Portis has done a great job of playing defense with this Bucks team. Brook Lopez, defender as well.
Bobby Big Eyes.
Bobby Big Eyes, yeah. And then Giannis, former defensive player of the year. So you got Giannis at small forward in that lineup. Brook Lopez at the 5. So it's a tough lineup. It's a tough lineup. Even though they may not have the shooting or the shot creation, losing Middleton, they still have the great defense, and it's gonna be a battle.
Excuse me.
They're good. It's gonna be a battle in this series. And Tatum wasn't on tonight. Like we saw in round 1, Jaylen Brown really struggled. He was holding his hamstring at certain points of the game. So we'll see what happens with that in game 2 and what his status might be. But yeah, it was the key word for that series for game 1 is physical. And it's honestly going to be that way throughout the entire series.
Do you think I'm going to try to say it this way. I'm trying to think in my head how I want to say this. Where Boston swept Brooklyn, just going to throw it out. It is what it is. Had a few days off, and they had really an easy series as far as offensively, that this is almost a punch in the mouth that they weren't expecting it. Like, when you play teams, you can prepare as much as you can for them, but until you actually face them and realize, okay, this is the tempo I have to meet, or this is the physicality I've got to face, then do you think this is kind of a surprise game for them? Like, oh, okay, wow, we thought we were ready, but now we see what we have to face. Do you think it's more of that situation then?
Yeah, it could have been, but the Bucks made easy work of Chicago, so I think they only have about a day off of difference when it comes to rest. So it was kind of
defense, but the not facing a defense.
Right. We're not facing that type of defense for sure. Of course, that's going to play a factor, having some type of rust there. But
and I can see that.
But even the game was still relatively close. Now, if they had got blown out or something like that, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, you could back that up to rust. But the game was still close. They had their opportunities, but Milwaukee just kept getting timely shots. And then also again, the Bucks have the best player in the NBA. I saw Stephen A.
Booker.
Listen, Booker's excellent. Booker's excellent, but it's just levels. It's levels. He showed it against you guys last year. It's just levels, man. A 50 burger in the closeout game.
Ouch. Did he just say that?
I saw Stephen A. at halftime. He's still unwilling to call this guy the best player in the NBA. I don't understand it. He swept his guy. He's the KD guy. He's always talking about KD. KD's the best in the world. Yeah, he's the best player in the world. It's just.
I want to say this. I kind of agree with Stephen A. still.
You like KD over Giannis still?
Okay, let me defend. Okay, before you jump on me too much here. The only reason, okay, I love Giannis plays defense. I love Giannis's size that he can just basically yoke on anyone from anywhere. But I feel like he gets, and I'm not trying to take anything from him. Okay, so hear me out. He's a great player. It's almost like the LeBron. Like, he's just so much better than everyone. It takes up some voids that he may have in his game. LeBron don't have much void. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player too. But Giannis is developing still an outside game, a shot, if you will. He can't shoot. So it's hard for me to say that the greatest player in the NBA can't really shoot 18 feet out, which he's doing better. He's shot some threes that are looking good. So I'm not downing him bad. It's just I would like to see more flash in him, like, some cross-ups. We don't really see too many of flashy stuff. Now, spin move from the free throw line, come up and hammer on him, like, that's great, and it's astonishing to see. But I just feel I know I'm probably the only person besides Stephen A. Smith, which makes me know I'm wrong on this. I feel like there's a limit to his offensive skill.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say? I'm not being like brutal on this. I'm just saying, like, it's hard for me to say that he's the greatest when he lacks some offensive skills. Now, as a full all-around player, he's great. Like Anthony Davis, great when Anthony Davis ain't hurt.
Yeah,
go ahead, come at me.
I understand your point. And I think for a lot of people that are a fan of KD and still feel like he's number one. He has his skill set, like you said, offensively is much more advanced, but all around game, I think Giannis is an all around better player. When it comes to playmaking, I think he's a much better passer than Kevin Durant is. I mean,
Kevin don't pass.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be the best we've called, like love or hate him, we call LeBron the best in the world for, a decade, I guess. And, that's one of the factors to why it makes him great. You said, did you ever feel like Shaq was the best in the NBA at some point? Because he never had a jump shot.
Okay. The most impactful player is what I actually would say with Shaq.
Oh, okay.
See, I would use that word. I would change.
But you never felt like he was.
I love Shaq, but there's a limit. That's a hack of Shaq. When the game's on the line, you couldn't have him in. So I wouldn't say he's the best player, but he's the best player that I would always want on my team. So there's the limits on there. And people used to make fun of me all the time growing up because I'd say I'd pick Shaq over Kobe. Like, what? Why would you do that? Kobe is great. Yeah, Kobe's great, but Shaq can just run down the court and make the defense react because he's just at a spot. And to me, that's more impactful, more overpowering than just Kobe. And I say just, let me not use the word just. Kobe one-on-one crossing up somebody and making a free throw jump shot. Beautiful. But Shaq just being on the post causes Kobe not to get double teamed in certain situations because he's just so impactful of a player.
Well, I mean, you say, but it's like.
I changed my word to make it justify for me, CJ.
I mean, I just feel like, just what the season that he had last year, and how dominant he was, and even though he's limited, he's still he almost won the scoring title.
Right.
He missed. He sat out the game, and Embiid got it. If he would have played that last game and got 40, he probably would have got the scoring title. So, two-way ability. We know this already. To me, he's one of the best passers in the NBA. I feel like nobody talks about his passing. That
much.
It's up there. I mean, when he sees the double quicker than most. He's able to kick it out to those corners. Bobby Portis, Wesley Matthews, Grayson Allen's open all day. He's open all day, knocking down shots. He's smart. He's like, yo, Giannis gonna get all these double teams. I need to knock down these easy shots. And his IQ is tremendous. Sometimes, he's a rim runner. He definitely is a rim runner. He doesn't have, like you say, doesn't have that offensive bag like some of the other players at the top. But his style is something different. It's different.
Maybe I just need to watch him in depth because it being a Milwaukee Bucks, East Coast, I don't really get a lot of those games, and I probably haven't watched the Bucks play too many times this year. Probably one of the least teams I have watched. So it could be a little bit of me because I know him coming up in the league. It was, people say he's good, so much potential in this player. And it may be that he's developing. I just haven't been able to watch to really just be in all of this. Because you're totally right. Defense that he provides, hands down, are superior to Kevin Durant. And if we're just going to compare those two, because Kevin Durant's offense is phenomenal. 7'1", wingspan, whatever, and can do what he does with the ball like a point guard. So defense goes to Giannis. Passing, you said, goes to Giannis. Just his one-on-one skill, I won't say it goes to Kevin Durant favorably, if that's a word.
His one-on-one is different than KD's one-on-one.
Right, because KD he's got so many arsenals. Am I using that right?
Yeah, he has a lot of moves. He has a lot of moves in his arsenal, definitely.
But Giannis don't need that.
Right.
So I mean, I can't penalize him for not needing the stuff, I guess.
But he doesn't need it, but he's developing it as his career continues to grow. And he's already accomplished what every player wants. Well, some players want. A lot of players just play for the money, but the great players, what they want is a championship. He has that already. These last 5 years in his career have been. I mean, you could put that up with some of the greatest of all time. And again, and I think that's why we enjoy the league. I mean, Steph doesn't play like KD. KD doesn't play like Jokic. Jokic doesn't
say Joker.
Luka plays different than Embiid. So we just have different artists out there on the court, but it's still effective and they're still getting it done. And Giannis one-on-one in a box in space in terms of he has good handle too to be able to because everybody knows what he's going to do. So you have to have a good handle to get by these guys. and he's doing it at an effective rate. And again, like I said, I just feel like he's the passing. I mean, if you get a chance, I mean, they're showing the playoff playback on NBA TV. If you get a chance to watch that, even if the highlights on YouTube, look how he's. Even they may not show the highlights because of some of the shots were missed shots off his assist, but
Right.
you know, his passing is exceptional, and I feel like he's the best in the NBA, and it's been that way since
I'll be honest.
he won that trophy.
Honest. You've moved me that direction a little bit. I'll be straight with you on that, because he's one of my favorite players, so I kind of feel like I'm being more hard on him than I may have to, I guess, because I don't want to say he's the greatest if he's my favorite, because he's not shooting the three. He's not playing the NBA style. He's old school style, you know, as a 3 with the size of a 5 that can come at you, you know,
Right.
coming off of the wing, downhill, straight at you. And I've always said the only thing bad about Giannis is when it comes playoff times, it's half-court offense, and that's where he's always struggled. So it might be I'm just holding on to some of these baggage that he's had in his earlier career that now he's adjusting to. And I think, and I said this last year, Holiday is very pivotal to this team for playoff for that.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's helping open him up, and I've not been able to watch that yet. So, okay, you moved me from here to maybe up to here. So good job on that.
Just keep watching him, man. Again, he wasn't great tonight from the field, 9 for 25, but just everything else he did on the court was amazing.
Right, because I absolutely love defense. If I ever coached a team, it was to be, hey, let's not let them do what they want to do defensively. Like, let's stop whatever their plan is. Because I'm a prick like that. That's how I always would think. Like, this is what they want to do. I want to be the prick that doesn't let them do that.
Right.
And Giannis is that style. And so I can't really not look at his defense and not let his positives be positive for him, because Kevin Durant couldn't do that. Ooh. And that's always been my guy. Like, hey, Kevin Durant's the best player in the NBA because of what he does. But I can't say he is when he doesn't play defense, because you can't just be the best offensive player and be the best player in the NBA.
Like he's a top 10 player, top 7 easily. However you want to rank that. Jokic is not the best defender, but again, he does everything else at a high level. So it kind of masks that.
He has nobody.
Well, right, and that's in that series, the first round. Yeah, he had nobody. He had nobody.
I'm just saying, even his whole series, his whole season. I mean,
bro, you're right. Yeah.
He had nobody, and still was MVP candidate because he's just that good.
Yes.
Even though he looks like me out there playing.
Yeah, exactly. He moves at his own pace. He moves at his own pace. But yeah, listen. A lot of people are gonna have different opinions of who they think the best is in the A, which I think is good. I think it's good. We're so used to Bron just being that number. Appreciate you, Matt. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully I can rock this next year. If they figure things out. But Luka Jokic, Giannis, Luka Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, and Siakam. Christian put in the chat. I'm trying to see what.
Okay, I don't see that. All I see is the NBA is all overseas guys at the top. It must be that list.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I probably put Siakam probably at the lower level, but definitely really good player. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those top 4. Yeah, I mean, amazing. But listen, back to the series. I feel like, again, if they want to win, if the Celtics they need to knock down his shots. Grant Williams is knocking down his shots.
I hate to say that. God, he
plays for Tennessee guy. Yeah.
Tennessee, Kentucky. My boss that I used to have, he's from Tennessee, and he was like, Grant Williams is the greatest, because they're more hillbilly than we are. He's like, all I see Grant is just taking the big flops, and that's it. Like, he sucks, but yet he plays 29 minutes in a playoffs game, scores 8 points, 4 rebounds, plays a good minutes though.
But they just have to knock down their outside shots. They had some open shots there, and Brown has to step up. Marcus Smart got hurt a little bit. He had a stinger in his shoulder. He came out for a little bit, came back in. Then he hurt his quad. He had some knee problems. So, he's not 100% right now. So this is gonna be a drawn out physical series, in my opinion. I picked Boston and before game 1 in 7. But
in 7, okay.
In 7, yeah. But if I think they'll come back and respond next game. I think they'll come back and respond. I think it'll be a back and forth type thing. I don't see it. I don't see Milwaukee just dominating them because they don't have a guy like Middleton.
Somebody said in the comment, and I missed it, but they said Celtics in 7, I think it was, or 6 maybe. I think, excuse me, I think Boston will win this series too. Just I think because Chris Middleton's not being there, his disappearance, that's not even gonna work. Him not being in the game is going to make a big difference in the longevity of this series.
Yeah.
But looking at some of the stats, one thing that caught my eye is let me get a drink. Milwaukee shot 41% to Boston's 33%, and that's field goals all in general. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's a big difference, and even that Boston only made 28 shots to Milwaukee's 37. So I'm like, wow, that's a big difference on made baskets. So I looked down here.
Second chance points.
Well, that, and also, where did it go? Boston had 18 turnovers. That's quite a bit for a professional basketball team in the second round of the playoffs. So they're definitely going to have to cut down on the turnovers with that, because actually, looking at that, the rebounds, they only had 10 offensive rebounds. Both teams had 10 offensive rebounds too. So, I mean, they didn't really have much of an advantage on that. Now, putback points off of those may be a different story, but they both had 10 total rebounds offensively there. So, I mean,
those turnovers.
It looks, as far as stat-wise, it looks pretty well even, other than a lot of turnovers and Milwaukee having more shots. I mean, well, made more shots. Let me back it up because, sorry, my dog's going crazy. Boston shot 84 times and only made 28 to Milwaukee's 90 times. So they only shot 6 more times, but they made 9 more shots. Hey, how about that? 3-point, it was 35% for the Bucks, 36% for Boston. Free throws, 71%, 75 Boston, and they both made 15. They both shot 20 and 21. So I mean, nothing outstandingly differently there, other than turnovers. 18 to 13, that's 5 more possessions. Assists for 22, 21, rebounds 54 to 48. A little bit of a difference, but again, 10 to 10 on offense. So, I mean, really, it was just made baskets, like taking better shots, I'm assuming, or contested shots. Was it a lot of bad shots by Boston, or did they just clank everything?
Yeah, they were missing a lot of shots. And Milwaukee, that's really their game plan. Their game plan is, make you shoot a bunch of threes. They give up the most threes taken in the NBA. But they still do a great job of closing out. Their rotations were excellent. They make it tough. You may seem like it may look like you're open, and then they close out at the last minute. Then they're able to get that rebound. So defensively, they do a great job. And Boston, they're not the best 3-point shooting team. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to rely on Brown and Tatum to kind of hold the fort when it comes to that category. Mm-hmm. So if those guys have to play well, they have to play well. I told my friend who's a Celtics fan, I said you need at least 57 to 60, 50. I say 55 to 60 combined between those two guys if they want to win this series. That's the only way.
33 from them tonight.
It's not enough. Yeah.
Look at this. Jaylen Brown only had 12 points. He has to be in the 20s for him to even have a chance.
100%.
100%. When Marcus Smart only has 2 points less than you, that's a problem, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to dog on Marcus Smart. That's just not his game. He's the assist man, the dirty man. And I say dirty man. Marcus Smart, I don't think is a dirty player, but the physicality of the dirtiness.
And he got Drew Holiday on too.
Yeah.
So, tough night.
Yeah. So, I mean, and, of course, you said the quad, so who knows what was going on with that. It could have been why Jaylen Brown was pretty much a no-show on this game. But I do think Boston comes back on this. I think Boston can't do any wrong this season. It doesn't matter what's going on now. No matter what it happens, the basketball gods say it is your time. It just seems like. So Boston's going to come back in this. I hope so. Think Boston, I want to say Boston in 5 actually before this game, but after watching this, I'm definitely thinking it's going to go possibly 6 or 7. So I'm going to back it up and say Boston in probably 7.
Okay.
Because the way they match up, that physicality, I think it's going to be a big struggle for them. So this next game, I think, will be very big for Boston. If they go down 2-0 going back to Milwaukee, it might be a lot shorter than that, but for the Bucks favor.
Yeah, exactly. They have to win this game too. It's important. I mean, and it would look bad. I mean, yes, you swept the Nets. the dysfunctional Brooklyn Nets. But if you were to lose this series fully manned and the Bucks don't have their Robin,
yeah,
it's kind of bad. Looks kind of bad. But if it's a 7-game, in a dominant fashion, if it's a 7-game series, drawn out, good games, people say they're the defending champs. Mm-hmm. But if you get dominated, I don't see it happening though. But if that were to happen, it would be like
detrimental.
It would be tough. But I don't see it happening though. I think they're a great team, well coached, and like you said, they clean up those turnovers. It's definitely a closer game. I think they'll do it.
But Christian says Bucks working the Celtics. No way.
The Greek flag.
Oh, that part ain't came from on mine yet. But I mean, if Brooklyn, oh yeah, I see it now on my burner phone where I can hit the heart button like a lot. But if the Bucks were to win this second game, I'm just saying, if they were to win it, do you think the Bucks can end up sweeping them?
I don't see sweep. But yeah, I don't see a sweep. But maybe 6.
Okay.
6. I think they're still a good team. It was really a close game. It's just, again, like you said, they just kept turning the ball over, man.
I do think Boston wins this next one. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just hypothetically, if Boston were to lose his second one, my dog.
If they had Middleton and it's up 2-0, maybe, maybe. But I think not having Middleton there, I think there's going to be a game where maybe Holiday doesn't have the best game. Portis may not have the best game, and I think Brown and Tatum, again, they need 55 to 60 combined. If they could do that, and when those other guys, because that's just going to open up shots for those other guys if they're playing well. I think it'll be a closer series for sure.
I even think you got to get close to 20 from Smart too.
Sure,
not that it has to be there. I think he needs to be above 15. I mean, he was at 10 tonight, so I mean, 5 more points. But I think, let me back up. I'm just going to flow at the mouth as it comes to my mind. Smart, I think, gets 5 more points if Brown hits a few more buckets, because that defense got to change. I mean, it opens it up for Marcus. Yes. So I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, it's easy to say what should have happened while we were on the stands, yelling at the refs, as we already talked about. But I think the series is going to be tough. I think both of these series are going to be tough. As I say, I'm trying to get through it real quick. Are there games tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow we've got the 76ers, Miami, and then also Mavericks and the Suns first round.
Mavericks and the Suns.
We're over an hour. I don't want to stay on this too much, but if you want to, what were you thinking of these series? Which kind of hit highlights what we expect on it. What's your favorite one out of those two?
Definitely Suns and the Mavericks for sure. This reminds me a lot of when Dirk and Nash used to go at it back in the day, and they had their battles. Now we got Luka versus Booker. It's going to be exciting. Jalen Brunson. It's going to have to. He did a great job on Mike Conley. That's Mike Conley. Now you got Chris Paul.
Now you got Chris Paul.
Yeah, 14 for 14. In game 6, it's a little different.
Yeah,
that's a
not taking anything from Mike Conley at all, but it's a different style.
It's just levels. It's just levels. So Jalen Brunson, looking forward to seeing how Jalen Brunson plays in this series, man. This will really decide right here. This is the #1 team in the league, the best record in the NBA. So if he plays well against this squad, it's definitely gonna help his chances of getting even more money in the offseason coming up. The Mavs are going to try to do that 5-out. Same thing that they did against the Jazz. They're going to bring Ayton out and make him be a perimeter defender. Kleber's going to have to, be big and knock down some shots. McCall Bridges on Luka. That's a matchup I'm looking forward to seeing. Finney-Smith or Bullock on Booker. Probably Bullock would probably be on Booker and probably put Finney-Smith on Paul a little bit here and there. Because Brunson's a good, but he's not going to be able to check CP3. And Ayton has to be huge in the series. Yeah. Unlike Gobert. Gobert wasn't offensively not there. So, he could give up points, but he wouldn't be able to respond offensively. So Ayton has to be big time in this series. He has to have, some of his best games of the playoffs. And he played well last season.
Ayton, as a big man, he's got a sweet touch down low, don't he?
Yeah, he does. He does.
He really don't have much moves, and I'm not dogging him again. I'm not dogging anyone unless it's LeBron James or James Harden. This must be a James Harden, even though I named my son Micah James. But anyways, Ayton get the ball, he don't make any kind of drop steps, no dribbles, and then turn and shoot. Y'all should have seen that, you color casters. That move I just did on camera was phenomenal. But with Ayton, it's just catch, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump and kind of not even turn my body and shoot, and it's splash, really. I mean, from 5 to 10 out, I mean, he does good with it. I'd like to see more of a mobility Ayton next year or this year, but as of right now, I mean, it's pretty much it's money in the bank right there when he does that.
Yeah, but he has to be dominant. He can't settle for jump shots. Last series, Valanciunas was, I mean, that's a he's 6'11". He's crashing the glass. He had a 25 rebound game in one of those games last series. So he was definitely wearing on Ayton. This series is not really, they don't really have a guy like that. Dwight Powell's good, but he's more of a rim runner type guy. Mm-hmm. He's not a guy that's extremely physical at the anchor.
He's a McGee kind of style.
Yeah, exactly. And the Suns have McGee, ironically enough. He's gonna be a factor as well. He's gonna have to be a big time also. So I'm really looking forward to that series. I have Phoenix in 6. I think Luka could get 2 games, but ultimately I feel like Booker being healthy now, coming back from the hamstring, Chris Paul being dominant. I'm looking forward to I want to see the Suns and the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals battle it out. I think that's a phenomenal matchup. And then
that pace, pace. The Suns and Warriors I'm talking about, guys. That pace would be phenomenal. But I'm going to go with you 1 game lower. I'm going to go Suns in 5.
Okay.
I do feel like Ayton's going to be the X factor if they can feed him the rock quite a bit. And with Chris Paul, the way he does with those pick and rolls and just basically feeds Ayton exactly where he needs to be, where he doesn't have to do many moves and just score real quickly. I think that's going to be good on that. I think Booker's going to come out hungry for a series to be in the playoffs and say, hey, this is why it's my team. And Chris Paul is going to have a little bit of a relaxed time because he won't have a little pest picking him up 92 feet from the basket and just bothering him the whole time.
There's no Alvarado on the
Alvarado, as Chris Paul did him on the interview. So I do think that's a great style against Chris Paul. I think it wears him down when you pick him up full court like that. It takes him out of his funk in a way. He's 30-some years old. Like, I think it wears him down by the fourth quarter. But with Booker there, just straight up let him bring it up, get Chris Paul into the ball there, and just work off the pick and roll from there.
Yep.
So I think it changes the whole perspective of that. Luka, I do think gets 1. I think it'll be in Dallas, too. I think Suns win both at home.
All right. And then we got, you said Sixers, Miami. No Embiid. That's tough. Tough news that dropped Friday night. Embiid being out. Oh, well, yeah.
No, sorry, Joel Embiid. I did not mean that personal. I was just as a Heat fan.
I think if all goes well, I think we might see mask Embiid, and he might throw the mask on and try to play Game 3 and Game 4.
Lakers in 7
next year. Yeah, I just don't see that, brother. I just don't.
That's the first time we said the L word this whole show.
Yeah, crazy. That's good. That's good. We're an hour in. That's great, actually.
And I only said it because it's written a comment from Christian.
But yeah, I think Embiid's going to wear the mask. He had the concussion. That's really why. I think that's probably why he was out more than anything. He comes back with the mask. Hopefully it helps him. I go clear mask like Rip Hamilton back in the day on the Pistons. Knocking down those middies.
Age with me now.
Yeah, Rip was a beast. He was a beast back in those Pistons squads, man. So yeah, I think. But if he's not able to play, they need James Harden. If you could give me 1 game in Miami, I think we got a series. But if not, I got Miami at 5.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. If Harden can't give me 1 game and before Embiid hopefully comes back,
right? You're right. That defense that the Heat plays and that Heat culture, just everyone, all 1 through 15 that they play. Like, if really all you have to worry about is James Harden, not to be disrespectful, but all 5 guys can guard James Harden on that team that they're going to have out there. So everything's going to be hedged. Everything's going to be switched. PJ Tucker guarded Kevin Durant last year. If you have him that switches to him, that's not going to be that big of a deal, I don't think. James Harden better show up and be skinny again. But even with Bam on the pick and roll or picks and switches, Bam can lock – I won't say lock him down because it's NBA. It's hard to lock anyone down, but at least can lock him up. I'll say it that way. So because down is so much worse than up. I don't know why. ADHD again. But I just feel like the Heat defense, I mean, honestly, without Embiid, who was the MVP candidate, do you think the Sixers break over 100 more than 3 times in this series?
I don't see it.
I mean, really, where's the offense going to come from?
Yeah, B's 30-10, easy. So
Yeah.
where's those points coming from? I don't know.
Tobias
Harris, where you at?
I mean, that's 50 to 60 points, give or take, 3s and 2s there.
Yeah,
that someone's going to have to step in, and I think Quickly is going to take over some on that. I think we may see some more from him. Kentucky boy again, but
Max definitely.
It's really, I think, like it'll be his first playoff series of trying to be the number 2 guy. I think it's going to be tough for him. I just feel like Heat culture all the way on this. So I'm gonna go with 5 with you. I was going to say 6, but I keep forgetting Embiid is out. So yeah, Heat and 5.
They're gonna wear him down, man. Like you said, they're gonna wear James Harden down. Tucker, Oladipo, Butler. It's a tough one.
Oladipo, yeah.
Bam, like you said,
every one of them.
I'm on a switch. Yeah, Markieff Morris is not even playing because he hurt his neck after the Jokic after Jokic violated him. But if he was in there, it's another guy.
After Jokic what?
Violated him. He checked him.
Okay.
Yeah, he checked him. It was all the son. He just hasn't played all season after that. That's so crazy to me. It's crazy.
I mean, I don't really think Joker hit him that hard though. Do you?
I didn't think it was that hard. I thought he was, kind of like flailing to the ground a little bit.
Yeah, like
his brothers kind of do that. They do that a little bit. They try to hit you, and then when you hit them back, they like to exaggerate. But I mean, he missed like half the season. So that Serbian strength must have got him. And
it was a shoulder too. Wasn't even a punch. It was just just like what he could do with his hands.
Yeah, man. He put the whiplash, and it was bad. It was bad. But yeah, I
still think he exaggerated a little bit.
Yeah, I think he did too, but he's on the bench, not playing. So, but I don't think they need him. Oladipo, I expect him to have a really good game. A couple good games. Butler, Lowry's out for game 1, so they're gonna need Oladipo also kind of be a playmaker. Also, we know Jimmy can play make, but we need Oladipo in there. And Tyler, I haven't even said Tyler Herro's name yet in this preview. So it's like he's another guy that could come in and knock down shots and make plays. I just think they have too much depth, much better coaching. It's not even close.
Yeah, I agree.
So
and it's so weird that we're actually saying that Doc Rivers is not like that great of a coach because for my lifetime of Helm, I don't know what that word was, him being at the Clippers and then even moving over, like Doc Rivers is one of the greatest coaches, even from when he coached back
with the Celtics.
He was a genius, So it's so weird how in the past 2 decades, Doc Rivers, his reputation, using that word again, has declined so much. I'm getting off subject on this kind of. Has the game just evolved past him, or was he really just surrounded by great talent? I mean, he had 4 stars when we were calling it the Big 3 because Rondo was pivotal to that team.
Yeah, exactly. He was
100%.
I was
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, definitely. Has the time passed him? It's tough. It's tough to say. He's got some talented teams, even after the Celtics, Clippers, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin. Yeah, Blake and Chris. They just never seem to stay healthy at the right time. He has the most blown 3-1 leads in NBA history. That's going to stay with him. Obviously for the rest of his career. Yeah, that's going to stay with his entire career. And
unless he comes back from a 1-3.
Yeah, that'll probably end the narrative a little bit for sure. That will end it if he's able to do that. But I don't see it in this series. Definitely not.
Not this year. No.
Not this year, man. But yeah, Doc Rivers, not the coach. He's still a really good coach, but I just think against Spoelstra, his ability to adjust each and every game, each and every quarter, really, it's just night and day.
Okay, I agree with you, 100%. 100%. I just feel like some of the games we may differ on, but still, that's really just guesstimation on that. So I mean, I can't be upset or anything on there. Excuse me. So, anything else?
No, that's all. I'm looking forward to these games.
I'm going to ask one question since you kind of brought that subject up. Doc Rivers, which I kind of went more with, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Jordan. We won't really put Jordan in this. So, who had a better career as far as coach / players? Because, I mean, it has to be Chris Paul, right? Like, maybe Chris Paul was the whole reason Clippers were good.
Of course. I mean, it was. Listen, it was. Let's remember like what the Clippers were before those three got there. They were the laughing stock.
Fire.
Right,
yeah,
right,
they were the
exactly.
Miami Dolphins of the past century.
Right, exactly. They were the laughing stock of sports. Really, I mean, growing up, like no one even talked about the Clippers. They had some. And we ultimately knew why later on because their owner was terrible, but but yeah, they were the laughing stock. And then they bring Doc Rivers in there, they make that big trade, they bring Chris Paul, then Blake emerges as a guy. They made that team relevant to the point where you bring in guys like now Kawhi and Paul George. So all three of those guys played a factor, but of course Chris Paul, everywhere Chris Paul's been, it's been.
It's turned to gold in some form or fashion.
Drafted to the Hornets in New Orleans. They were a playoff team. Rockets, Clippers, OKC that one season, and now in Phoenix. I mean, he's the common denominator for sure.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I guess I actually was thinking about that earlier today driving to work. I was like, this team, because something brought up DeAndre Jordan did something that was outrageous or something. I don't know. I just thought about it and I was like, Doc Rivers, we badmouthed him a few times now as far as not being a good coach, the 1-3 lead blown. Blake Griffin isn't really relevant much anymore, and really, I mean, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but when he went to Detroit, you didn't really hear much of him, and then he almost had a whole season with injury almost, it seemed like. So I mean, Blake Griffin was good and could jump out of a gym, but without Chris Paul, would we actually had Blake Griffin of what we had? I mean, I don't know. And I just started thinking, like, maybe Chris Paul is really the gold nugget here and help Doc Rivers, help Blake Griffin, and help Jordan as well, which I always loved Jordan. I thought he was a really good player that didn't get a lot of love because of his ability. Granted, he couldn't shoot a jump shot. All he could do was jump out of a gym and block a shot. Rest in peace, Brandon Knight, former UK player. But I don't know. I was just thinking it, and I'm glad you agreed. That was horrible.
That dunk was so crazy.
Okay, I've got to ask you again. Do you fault Brandon Knight for being in that, or are you okay with it? Because I want my defense, and again, I'm defense-minded when it comes to coaching, to be in that play. Like, I don't know why we praise the posters. Like, oh, you just got posterized. Oh, you just got dunked on. If you're playing defense, you should be trying to do that. Like, you should be on a poster a time or two. It's like you should be trying to protect the rim. I don't know why we're like, oh, I can't believe that. Play defense. And that's just me. Like, how do you feel on that?
So yes, that's right. But he wasn't blocking DeAndre Jordan, bro.
No, he wasn't. He maybe came up to his belly button on that jump, but at least he was there.
At least he was there. But it man. I was at Buff State during that time, man. We were all watching the game. Everybody just stood up like, yo, what?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I was like the number one play on SportsCenter for like a month.
It really was. But
crazy.
In all factors, like I can't stand, like, this is my rant, if you will, and I'm out of water, so I'll try to get through it. I cannot stand when I see, we'll say, Ja Morant going to the hole, and he's about to yoke on somebody, and you see the help defense come and kind of half jump and then jump away from the guy. Like, oh, I don't want that. Like, you're supposed to be in there. Like, you're giving
not trying to be on the highlight. They're trying to be on a house of highlights after the game, man.
I agree, and I understand that. But when did it come acceptable to bail out on defense?
I agree from that standpoint. I completely agree with you. And then there's the other side now, man.
But if I'm about to get dunked on by Ja Morant, I'm bailing out.
That's a smart business decision on all aspects. I don't want to be that guy that got posterized by Ja.
Yeah, Brandon Knight. I mean, that was what,
probably
20 years ago.
It's going on 10 years since that happened, man.
Yeah,
think about it. And it's brought up in a playoff game in playoff podcast of 2022. So even though it was a good defense, theoretically
he rotated. He should have been there, but
he got posterized.
I don't know. I hate it as far as being a person who loves defense. Like, it would break my soul if Giannis was about to get dunked on and bailed out on it. Like, or even we'll say Gobert, who's only known for defense. And I'm sure he's done it before. Like, if somebody was coming down the lane and he was about not to be able to challenge it and just quit on it, not even jump for it and jump away from it. Like, that would hurt my soul as a coach or anything on there. Like, I am paying you millions of dollars to not let them do that.
Yep.
You should try your dangest to get in there and stop it, even if you catch a poster. Like,
but those guys like Giannis and Gobert, they unless they're in foul trouble, if they're not in foul trouble, they'll contest it. But if they're in foul trouble, yeah, you got obviously, like, they got to get out the way. But
they got and understand that.
I was gonna say for Knight, like it was like, bro, just stop blocking.
He had no business. Like, if anything, man, you should have tried to take a charge on that. Like, why'd you even jump? Oh, poor Brandon Nutt. Poor Brandon Nutt. Shout out Brandon Nutt. Get him on the show, guys. Get him out there. But, okay, I think we've talked enough. It's 11 o'clock. I'm sure my wife's ready to go to bed. I need to hush so she can go to sleep. We've been on for almost an hour and a half, and we talked about making a short show, which I've enjoyed this. We've had some great talks discussing everything. I wish our shows were more flowed like this anyways. But for everyone on Colorcast, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Everyone that's joined on, I've seen a couple people, I think, on YouTube. Also seen some Facebook, some Twitch people on here as well. Twitter, I see someone's watching it right now on that as well. Thank you so much. We even got a couple likes on the Facebook pages. So thank you all so much for joining in. Every Sunday, if we can make it happen, every Sunday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Great shows from Live with David. You know what? I appreciate that, man. I'm going to go to your profile, and I'm giving you a follow because I love positive feedback like that. Oh, but it says Duke of Stats. Oh, that's not Duke's. That's okay. We don't like that. We don't talk about Duke. I'm sorry. I've got kids. That's Bruno. But we appreciate everybody. The show again, Count the Bucket. Go check it out on Twitter. It is Count Bucket USN. We do have a YouTube page for Count the Bucket. It's actually mine that I had with my son that we used to tell kid stories that I converted over. It's okay. We try to make what we can do. But also, if you don't care, go to our Twitter page and hit that poll. It should be in 24 hours, I think it is. I want to see what you guys think is the most exciting matchup is. Me, it's the Grizzlies and the Dub Nation as we get tonight. Did you vote on it, CJ?
Yeah, I picked the Suns and the Mavs.
Okay, Suns and Mavs. Okay, I respect that because, I mean, I wanted to pick it because it's my Suns and my baby Bubble Booker, but I didn't go with it. I feel like this could be really a jaw outcome, even though he's been outcoming every year. But with that, CJ, go ahead and give your holler outs. Let's hear all that. Shout outs, I guess. Holler outs? I don't know.
Linktree.com/CJames9 for everything I got going on with podcasts, Instagram page, Guard Up Pod on IG, dropping
phenomenal.
Appreciate you, brother. Dropping game reactions every single day to these playoff games. It's great playoffs like Michael and I just spoke about. The Hard Count every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, breaking down, recapping the NFL draft. Crazy draft, a lot of trades that went down in the NFL world. Can't wait to recap that with my guy Connie. And that's about it, guys. And of course, check us out here on Sundays at 9:30 p.m.
Also, didn't say we have the podcast. It should be on everything: Spotify, Apple iPod. What's another one? Google Pod, I think it is. But check all that out for Count the Bucket. My other show is on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. most of the time. Sometimes work makes it go to 10 p.m. But it is Backstop Banter Thursday nights at that time with his guy, Connie. I won't say my guy. He gets on my nerves. We banter too much. But it's a great show where it's everything baseball. I had one boy, Josh, in here once who is on Generation Z. Is that right? Generation Z? Is that right? Gen Z with Connie, and he didn't even know what a backstop was, but he's not a baseball fan. So I forget sometimes people don't know a lot about baseball, but the backstop is what's behind home plate that stops the ball as it passes by. But anyways, so it was fun. We did a 101 for baseball, and it was a good show, actually. But I'm still rambling. I need some water. My throat's scratchy. I think my antibiotics finally kicked in. I'm feeling a little hyper, so I might have to go eat something. But yeah, follow me on all the Instagrams, Twitters, all that stuff. MD Lawson00 and all that good stuff, guys. I believe that's it.
That's it, guys. Catch you guys next week.
All right. Have a good one, CJ.
You as well.